For my PiP topic, I decided to focus on the decision to continue or discontinue frequently using permanent hair dye on my hair, which I use about once every 2 to 3 months. This decision relies on the possible increased risk of cancer, which is what I focused all my research on. My two hypotheses are that frequent permanent hair dye use causes cancer, and that frequent permanent hair dye use does not cause cancer. This is especially important to me as my dad has prostate cancer, which many have claimed is linked to breast cancer in their daughters. I really don't want breast cancer. So I've also heard that dyeing my hair so often, which I love to do, will give me breast cancer. And when I looked into this, I found that the claim is ultimately false. According to Susan G. Komen's website, there are no significant findings that permanent hair dye is a cause of breast cancer, and the American Cancer Society reports similar findings, but maintains that although it's not a proven cause, a risk may still be involved. From there, I looked into lymphoma and bladder cancer, which have both been linked to frequent hair dye use. The sources that I've used mention multiple times that conflicting results have come from studies on non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and hair dye. The factor that seems to smooth out all the inconsistencies is including the variable started using permanent hair dye before 1980. Before 1980, known carcinogens were still included in permanent hair dye formula, and another factor that weighs less heavily on the results but still makes a small impact is the color. Darker colors tend to have more severe formulas and are more likely to cause the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Just like those studies done on the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, the studies on bladder cancer have been inconclusive. However, it's agreed that semi-permanent and temporary hair dyes pose little to no risk of bladder cancer. One study concluded that regardless of smoking, which is a known cause of bladder cancer, a person who frequently dyes his or her hair is twice as likely to develop bladder cancer. Bladder cancer has been attributed in part to exposure from the family of chemicals known as acrylamines, which seeps through the scalp during the hair dye process and is expelled through the urine, thus passing through the bladder, making itself a risk factor. Salon workers have a higher rate of cancer than the rest of the population. However, this does not necessarily prove that prolonged exposure to permanent hair dye causes cancer, as products such as chemical relaxers, straighteners, and perms all contain carcinogens and or suspected carcinogens and are all frequently used in salons. One article states that salon workers who have worked in the profession for 10 years or longer are 5 times more likely to develop bladder cancer than the general population. The main problem that I've noticed among all this research that I've read is the inability to do an interventionist study, which would really prove causality. And there's no way to do that because you can't control almost any of the variables. I mean, you can't force someone to dye their hair a certain color or even just dye their hair at all. So, in the end, I can't really conclude which of my hypotheses is correct, but I assume that when more research is done, or if more research is done, there will be a causal link between permanent hair color and cancer, but that's just speculation. From what I've read throughout this project, I've come to see many other harmful chemicals in hair dye that may or may not be carcinogenic that I don't want on my scalp. I looked into demi and semi-permanent hair dyes and formulas and found that they use less harmful chemicals and are actually better for my hair. So I've decided to forego the permanent dyes and I opted for something a little healthier. I definitely plan on using the methods I learned in this course in the future. I've already begun researching the medicines I take daily to see if they're the ones that will fit me best. I just didn't want to publicize my medical history on the blog with the comments, so that's why I decided to do my project on hair dye, and I'm really glad I did because I'm making a safer decision for my hair. I really liked the blog format of this class. I've blogged before, but I've tended to use more pictures because I blog about like my artwork, and it'll be interesting to keep a blog like this one running because I don't know, this decision really helped with me really thinking about what I'm putting into my body when I dye my hair, and I think that can really help with both my medicine and even like food choices. So I think I want to continue using everything that I learned from this class. So thank you.